We're very excited to be here at CES and very proud to show more of the world of our new truck. This has become such an important show for the automotive industry, especially with the transition towards electrification. That's exactly what we're about at Lordstown Motors. I think it's an important demonstration of our mission. You know, this drive towards electrification and accelerating electrification, it's important that we be here. And I'm glad to be here as a representative of our very fine team. The short-term future is we continue to build endurance and get them in the hands of our customers, but we're also very excited about the new vehicles that we're starting to work on now.
Yes, Hightower did give a speech at CES, and it did get coverage. I'll put a link to this report in the description. What I'm going to do in this video is go over, I think there's a very important presentation that was given by Hightower at CES. I'm going to go over first the 8K filing, kind of austere, just the facts. And then we're going to cover the glossy presentation that was part of the deal. Okay, this is the 8K filing. You can see that was January 4. And I just wanted to put this up so you could reference it yourself. Just go on NASDAQ.com. Let's get into this. This is just a notice showing that the presentation is taking place at CES and making sure everything's all legal for the SEC, date, time, so forth. Now, in this first section, I've outlined that they mention a consortium. Again, I do believe the partnership is going to be formalized. I do not believe they can do that legally until the CFIUS okay is in. So until that happens and the investment and everything is okay, the foreign investment, I don't believe they can talk about partnership. So they call it a consortium. You can pause this and read this. They're talking about a new ecosystem, MXUX, FOXOCNN, and Lordstown, which is the partnership. And they also talk about how the Endurance, in its present form, is a very specific fleet vehicle aimed at a niche, and that may explain the range and some other things. Let's move on. Now, in this section, they go on to define Lordstown Motors as FOXOCNN's preferred vehicle development partner. And again, kind of couching the word partner, avoiding a formal partnership statement until CFIUS is completed. Again, I could be wrong. This could be the arrangement. And also through FOXOCNN's global manufacturing expertise and global supply chain. So again, as per my previous flow charts, we're defining the roles here. Lordstown Motors is going to prepare everything right up to manufacturing. FOXOCNN's going to take over with supply line, do the assembly. Lordstown Motors is going to do the QC. This is how this is going to all work, just as I've been stating all along. And once again, in this section, Hightower goes on, or this 8K goes on to say, defining the Lordstown Motors role, how the new collaboration model is going to work between FOXOCNN, MXUX, and Lordstown Motors. And once again, this follows very closely my past flow charts and so forth, where FOXOCNN is going to do the supply chain and manufacturing. MXUX is going to supply all the components that FOXOCNN isn't going to supply. Basically, that's how that's going to work. And then Lordstown Motors is going to do all the engineering right up to the start of production. So again, defining the roles in this new organization. Now, guys, you can pause this and read this clip on your own here. But really, what Hightower is stressing here is the difference between making phones and vehicles, and how it is a very regulated, strict process, developing an automobile and having it pass homologation, certification, and so forth. And it's talking about how important, again, Lordstown Motors' role is in this whole business model. And it goes on here to define the company types involved and also what FOXOCNN's role is. But again, stressing the importance and how key Lordstown is to all this. Now, in this section, Hightower's talking about the strategy here, or would it be tactics? Anyway, built for speed and scale to create great EV products. So this is what they want to do at this consortium. They want to be able to bring products to market fast and to scale them fast. And by engineering and investing in this ecosystems, EV makers and investors, I was curious he can mention investors there. I'm not sure he means retail investors, but can enter through multiple pathways and press on the accelerator and meet the demand. Now, again, you can pause this and read this, but the idea here is speed and scale, and that's what Lordstown's bringing. Okay, this is a pretty complex section. You guys can stop and read this, pause it. But they're talking about the endurance here. And they're talking about how Lordstown has produced a competitive vehicle in the largest market in North America, which is the truck market, and also giving a tip of the hat to FOXOCNN for manufacturing this, because we have to remember Lordstown Motors is now an engineering and design firm, and FOXOCNN is responsible for the manufacture of these vehicles. And again, iPhone quality. Now, I would add, I have LMC written in here. Most of the people on the line right now that are building cars were formerly or were passed over from Lordstown Motors. So that's mostly Lordstown Motors staff building the cars. And I do believe they've got one of the top quality people at Lordstown Motors, and I do believe he is running the quality control. But again, FOXOCNN is taking over and proving that they can do what they have to do to make this work. Now, one other thing Hightower mentions here is this plant capacity, and that this plant did build 300,000 ICE vehicles a year. Now, I believe, and they're hinting that that's going to be the production. In my opinion, I think 500,000 cars is not undoable if you're building battery electric vehicles at this plant. And I think they can even optimize that further. Okay, now we're going to go over the glossy presentation. Now, this is the cover sheet, again explaining the relationship, the conglomeration, I guess you could say, of these three entities, FOXOCNN, MIH, and Lordstown Motors. And again, preferred manufacturing partner in North America. And again, North America is the only operating plant that FOXOCNN owns, is the Lordstown America plant. So you can see, once again, how critical Lordstown Motors is to all of this. There are some comments in Reddit, and I'll tell you what a pit toilet Reddit is, on how, they're against Lordstown and they want to, no, so that is not what's happening. Now again, this next slide could not better emphasize what I have been saying about this relationship for the longest time. And this particular slide, again, defines the roles. FOXOCNN, assembler, supply line. And by the way, FOXOCNN is also going to manufacture a lot of these parts. What they're not going to manufacture, it's going to be handled by MIH And Lordstown Motors is going to be the program manager for all of these projects, all these battery electric vehicle projects that are coming through the Lordstown Global Headquarters, Global Hub of Foxconn. And by the way, they're going to be generating fees this whole time as well. So this settles all the discussion. Now, this next section is a commentary on the MIH open platform. You know, MIH is a conglomeration of 2,500 companies. They're all sharing APIs and schematics and designs so that all the parts interchange and fit from all these various hardware and software and AI suppliers. They make a comparison here between the Android system and the Apple walled garden. And taking a little slap at Apple here, talking about how the Android system has produced more results being an open platform than the Apple condition has. Now, this next graphic here is just a chart I came up with here showing the slope of that red line, and you can pause this and read this for yourself, but that shows you the development in the Android open system versus the flat line of the Apple closed walled garden, as they say. So this is the point the last slide is making. And again, rapidly take market share. That's Foxconn's goal. Now, this next slide I think is the most important of the presentation, and you can pause this to read all of this, but this very clearly defines what this business model is. And in that last paragraph there that I have highlighted, this is the essence, the operational definition of what Lordstown Motors is bringing to this giant effort and how critical what they're bringing to this effort is. And this is why, in my opinion, the stock's undervalued, and certainly no one seems to understand this, but this is the way it is. Now, this next section, you can pause and read for yourself, but that underlying portion I have there, to bring scale with speed to small manufacturers or major OEMs, okay? Well, maybe I put the major in there, but I'm talking about the International Harvester Scout. Who knows? Contract manufacturing for Ford, dare I say, and that is my opinion. I have no information on that. The point being, this whole effort, and the chairman of Foxconn said it, we are going to move with speed to take market share in the BEV market. As you know, they want to take 5%. They also want their clients to be able to move with speed. Now, I thought I'd roll out, this is my flow chart, which I have been flogging YouTube with for the last, 6 months, even more than that, 10 months, which I've gotten no end of negative commentary on. I'm glad to say that this presentation by Hightower, and I will take credit for this, has confirmed essentially everything I have been saying about the working relationship with Foxconn, how important Lordstown is to this relationship. It's all been laid out in this speech by Hightower at CES, and I think he's doing a great job, and thanks for having my back. Now, that's Jack Cheng and Hightower. MIH Consortium unveils an innovation hub plan to strengthen EV ecosystem in North America. I'm going to try to do this quick. Let me tell you what's going on in Lordstown, Ohio. They're putting in a multi-million gallon water storage tank. They've improved the electrical grid once, they're improving it again. These are all utility increases, in my opinion, focused on this MIH consortium, this hub plant. That includes the factory also. As Rick Raj said, they are going to have a on-site at the plant extension of the university, of Youngstown State University, engineering, BV, education, ongoing education, accredited university. They're going to have housing. They are going to provide housing for employees, and this is a Foxconn thing that they've done elsewhere in the world. And I would like to say, in this part of the country, in the Mahoning Valley, the last time a company provided housing, that was 1918 to 1920. That was the Steel Works in Youngstown, Ohio. That was the biggest steel making place in the world outside of a valley in Russia. And I think we can look at the same thing happening here in